The Pittsburgh Penguins finally played a clean third period. They got a 4-1 win over the Minnesota Wild Thursday night here at PPG Paints Arena. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now, the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. Do me a favor, like and subscribe. We keep adding likes by the dozens, and I really appreciate you helping us with that. We have 3 games to go here in the NHL regular season. It's kind of funny. At this point, the hockey games both matter everything and then matter nothing to everybody. Because it's like, okay, did the Penguins win? Great. What did Florida do? What did New York do? Tell me. And the details of the wins, I don't know if they matter at this point. For most of the season, you're wondering how they won. Did they do it well? Are they building good habits? Now it doesn't matter if they win a sloppy 10-8 game, which might be interesting to watch, or if they win a perfectly played 1-0 game. It no longer matters after Thursday because Florida just trounced Ottawa. Last I saw, the score was 7-1. I think that was the final. And the Islanders were up on Tampa Bay 4-1. I know both those are final. Both of those teams won. So the Penguins remain 1 point behind each of those teams with 3 games to go. So, Penguins are in Detroit on Saturday. That has not been a kind place to the Penguins over the last couple of seasons. The way Detroit plays, fast but also kind of soft, just lulls the Penguins in or pulls them in to the very game they don't want to play. You go back 10 days ago, and you circle that game that the Penguins lost 7-4 last week. That, to me, is still the one that gave it away. So we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A here from PPG. I've got the notebook right here. All right, are you ready? Here we go. As always, make sure to follow me on Twitter at the Dan Kingerski, so you can participate in these little Q&A post games that we do, and we will do some live chats between the end of the regular season and the playoffs, or after the regular season into the off season. I don't know which is coming yet. Actually, I've got a feeling. And that's one of the questions here on the Q&A. So let's get to it. JC asks, what happens in a tie? Well, the Penguins have the least regulation wins, least regulation overtime wins. And it's not close. So, if there's a tie, the Penguins lose. Real simple on that. I haven't looked up a 3-way tie yet. That almost seems impossible. Both Florida and the Islanders would have to get a loser point in their final 3. And the Penguins would have to win all 3. And, but the Penguins do lose the tiebreaker to the other teams. Simon asks, or actually says, 100% chance the Capitals win their next 2 games. Let's go, Tom Wilson. Hashtag vomits in mouth. It's funny, I'm going to write about this on Pittsburgh Hockey Now on Friday. The Capitals actually control the Penguins' fate. Believe it or not, the arch-rival Washington Capitals. Alex Ovechkin, Tom Wilson, Evgeny Kuznetsov, Nick Backstrom, TJ Oshie, Darcy Kuemper, John Carlson. They control the Pittsburgh Penguins' destiny because their next 2 games, Islanders and Panthers. You couldn't write that, could you? You couldn't write a script quite like that. Unfortunately, the Capitals got absolutely hammered by the Montreal Canadiens Thursday night. They do not look like a team that has any interest in the remaining games of this regular season. And I know none of you are Tom Wilson fans. I'll just give him a bit of props here. He's still one of the most interesting guys I've talked to in the league, and I would talk to him any day of the week. I wouldn't make him mad, and I wouldn't want to play him, but he was interesting to talk to. That's for sure. Let's see here. Paul said, of the win on Thursday night, the Penguins made mostly good decisions. Minnesota, though, as Paul notes, and I'll get into this too, Minnesota not as fast as, say, New Jersey. So the Penguins weren't under the same pressure, and they had to get in front of Fleury. Let's dissect that a little bit, Paul, because I think you're really onto something. I tweeted a few things to that very effect, and you're either really smart or maybe I influenced you a little bit. Either way, yes, especially in the first period, the Penguins kind of played that 2016 game where they were shooting from all angles. Look, after the first 20 minutes, they had a 19-5 shot advantage over Minnesota because they got into the zone. They were just shooting it. A lot of shots from the top of the zone or from outside the dots. That's okay. If you're getting traffic at the front of the net, if you're making the goaltender's life miserable, if you're taking away sight lines, you're banging bodies, you're creating chaos and havoc in and around that blue paint. The Penguins really weren't doing that. And it's not because they wouldn't. These Penguins aren't built to do that. Jake Gensel takes a beating near the net, but he's not a guy who's going to create chaos and havoc. Ricard Raquel is a magician. He's a sniper. He's not a net front guy. And for the most part, neither is Brian Rust. That's not his. I mean, as gritty as Rust is on the wall, the corners, and as fast as he can be, his game is not to stand there and take a beating in front of the goalie and take away the sight line. So you ask, who's going to do it? That's a problem for the Penguins. They are kind of set up to be that puck possession, shot, puck retrieval team, but they're missing that key ingredient to finish it. And yes, Minnesota, very much like Nashville, was that last Thursday already? Or was that last, listen to me, the days have run together. This is my third hockey game in 3 days between Newark, Wilkes-Barre, Pittsburgh. Penguins actually are not allowed, or, they're kind of having a little travel day workout session tomorrow without the public, without the media on Friday. So I'm sure I'll get into some sort of trouble, but it won't be at a hockey rink. Yes, Nashville and Minnesota did not present the same problems that Detroit and New Jersey present to the Penguins. I guess I'm probably preaching to the choir when I say the Penguins are not the fastest team on the ice anymore, at least a lot of nights. And so, yes, they're still kind of playing that sort of base, that base mentality. That's still in their DNA to kind of play, or to think they're playing a speed game. It's going to take a little while to weed that out of them. There's just no question. I think Sullivan acknowledged that, by the way, a couple of weeks ago in Detroit or New York. Before the 6-0 shellacking, Sullivan went on a very detailed answer about the NHL game still evolving. It's kind of hitting a second wave of this speed evolution from a puck possession game to a puck pursuit game. And right to the point, Detroit, fast. New Jersey, really fast. New Jersey, that pursuit of the puck is a constant thorn to the Penguins. And so, I still think the Penguins actually have advantages on both New Jersey, Detroit, because they're heavier, they're tougher, actually. They've got that old man strength where they can get the puck in those corners behind me and make the opposing defenseman have to turn, defend, and battle. And the Penguins forwards are better at that than the other team's defensemen. It's a matter of getting there. It's a matter of kind of staying there, really. But then I guess we go back to that net front problem, don't we? It is what it is after 79 games, right? Or 78. Yeah, 79, 80, 81. Yeah, after 79 games. 80, 81, 82. That's 3 games. Let's see here. Steve says, who knew Ovi might be the Penguins' savior? Yeah, no kidding, huh? Joe kind of asks a question in a similar vein. Was the Penguins showing based on how structured they could be, or was Minnesota kind of saving themselves for the playoffs? No, Minnesota's battling for the division lead. I think they had a lot to play for. You take out Kaprizov, who's injured. Eriksson Ek gets injured in the first, or was that early second period? Late first period? Early second period. You take away their second line center, and this team really doesn't have a lot of offense when you do that to them. It's not like they're really, deep in any one facet of the game as Minnesota. They play a great game, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they have tons of scoring or lots of scoring from the blue line or lots of, you take away Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek and they're in trouble. So I think the Penguins probably benefited from that. I don't think Minnesota was saving themselves. Let's see here. Jim asks the pertinent question. We're going to wrap up on this. Buckle up. Here we go. The $1 million question. Too little, too late? My gut feeling is yes. It's just purely a gut feeling. The Islanders, Florida could lose. Sorry, I was seeing a text from Dave Molinari. He doesn't know I'm still recording, still actually here, but they could lose to the Capitals or the Maple Leafs, whoever they've got left. In fact, you know what? I do have their schedules, so let me run them down for you here. But to the Florida has the Capitals, Leafs, and Carolina. Carolina might be the Penguins' best hope, because Carolina and New Jersey could be battling for that division lead down to the final day, and that's a big deal. I mean, if you're Carolina, do you want to play the Penguins or do you want to play the Rangers in round one? Oh, you want the Penguins, do you not? The Islanders have the Flyers, who've been scrappy, the Capitals, and the Canadiens. And the Canadiens, kind of scrappy too. But seeing what I saw tonight, the Islanders and Florida taking care of business, I think with so few games to go, the losers, and I use that term kindly, the teams that are not in the playoffs are going to be ready to pack it in and go home. You're not going to get the best from those teams. And the teams battling for the wild card are certainly going to bring it all. Level 10. Max effort, as Deadpool might say. I do, in my gut, I see both the Islanders and Florida. I know it's mathematically not probable, but I just see both of those teams winning out. I kind of hope I'm wrong, actually. Unlike a lot of you, I want to see the Pittsburgh Penguins in the playoffs. I want to have to go to Boston, or I want to have to go to Carolina, and I want to ask you for help at PHN Plus, subscribing and supporting us to do that. I want to go through that process because, well, it means a lot for our business too. That's just selfish. I don't want to see what happens to this Penguins team if they miss the playoffs. I don't think missing the playoffs will necessarily affect the Ron Hextall discussion. I don't think missing the playoffs will affect what the Penguins do in the offseason. You cannot go through 82 games as they've gone through and decide what to do in the offseason based on 1 or 2 regular season games. That would be insanity. You have to look at the totality of the 82 games and make your decisions based on that, or even the last 30 games in which the Penguins have not been consistent, good. They have not been a winning hockey club in the last 30 games. That's fact. I'm using 30 arbitrarily. I haven't looked up their last 30. I know, they were 4-8 coming into Thursday night. 4-8 in their last 12. And I suspect their last 20 games, not much better. So I don't think making or missing the playoffs will affect the larger decisions that a lot of you think it will. If winning on the final day of the regular season saves someone's job, that's poor decision making. It's not like the Penguins will get a better draft pick by missing the playoffs. I mean, it would be a couple spot difference in all probability. So knowing all of that, would you not rather just take your chips, put them all on the table, and let it ride? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that would happen by the Penguins making the playoffs? Actually, the worst that would happen is they win a first-round series and their draft pick gets worse. That, if you really want to split hairs or look to the future exclusively, that's your worst-case scenario there. That will do it here from PPG Paints Arena. Check out Borky and I. We're going to do a live 11 on the ice Saturday. He's hopping the team charter and coming straight back from Detroit. We'll be live on the air 7:30 Saturday night on WPXI. I'm actually staying back in town. It's going to feel weird watching a game on television. Dave Molinari headed to Detroit on Saturday. And then I guess we all go from there, don't we? To be determined, or should I say, to be continued. I'm Dan Kingerski on the YouTube channels. Like and subscribe. Have fun, take care, and for those of you who celebrate, Happy Easter.